Saram and welcome to this special conversation on this most auspicious day of Vijayadashami. We are just returning, soaking in the sacred vibes of the Purnahuti ceremony from the Purna Chandra Auditorium. And Bhagwan has so graciously sent to the studios today Dr M Sai Kumar, IAS. Dr. Sai Kumar now serves as the additional Chief Secretary to the Government of Tamil Nadu. He is also the Chairman and Managing Director of Tamil Nadu Urban Finance and Infrastructure Development Corporation. Over his 3-decade-long career as a servant of the people of India, he has headed the Tamil Nadu Electricity Board. During his tenure, this institution's losses came down by a whopping 7,000 crores. He was also the one spearheading the activities of the Tamil Nadu Marketing Corporation. Again, when he was heading this institution, he streamlined a lot of processes and brought in a lot of checks and balances, made this institution more effective. Earlier, he served as a collector, as the commissioner of Madurai, and also for 6 years, he served for the Union government as the Director General of Foreign Trade in charge of South India. Even as he was busy in his professional life as a government servant, he also did his PhD in public affairs just so that he can serve people, serve Mother India better. What is most heartening about him for all of us is that he has been an alumnus of the Sri Sathya Sai Bal Vikas movement. He has done the entire 9-year Bal Vikas course. He served for many years as a sevadal and even now never misses an opportunity to play whatever role Bhagwan gives in his mission. What is really significant here to mention is that he has been organizing the Sri Sathya Sai Tamil Nadu IAS study circle for more than 20 years now. A lot of officers, bureaucrats, senior people serving in the government have become exposed to Bhagwan's life, his mission and his teachings through the various initiatives that he has taken, and he continues to be an ideal, a beautiful exemplar for all of us who want to do good to society and in a manner that pleases Swami, walking on the path of truth and righteousness. You will not read much about him on the internet because he's someone who always likes to keep himself last. Keep the work for the people first and keep yourself behind the scenes. That is the reason why you would never read much about him. He doesn't like to talk. He likes to make his work talk, but it's really Bhagwan's grace that he's here with us today. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and sparing your precious time on this beautiful day. We're really grateful to Bhagwan that you are here for Vijayadashami. And so let us begin with how did it feel being in Purnachandra Auditorium, soaking in the vibrations of Dasara Yagnam?
Thank you very much for that lovely introduction. I'm not sure if I'm worth that kind of kind words, but whatever little I've been doing, it's all Swami's grace. So with humility, I serve, and with humility, I take whatever Swami gives me as my work. Today is a lovely occasion to be here in Prashanti. After all, this is the abode of peace.
Yes.
And this incidentally is the 60th year of the Veda Purusha Mahayajna. That's what they have said.
The Pujari
so I'm very happy that on this lovely occasion, I am here.
Yeah.
And this is a chance which Swami had given us. Otherwise, not everybody gets to be here and see this. And as we say, Swami is present everywhere. Swami has walked this earth here,
Yes.
and this is a holy land.
Yes.
So in that case, I am blessed to be here. Thank you.
So coming back to your IAS journey, Was SAI Sai responsible for you becoming an IAS officer? Was Swami directly, indirectly involved? Of course, he is all the time guiding our lives, but how did you decide to become an IAS officer?
It's a long story. Actually, yeah, SAI is the reverse of IAS, or the vice versa. Swami always used to say that. SAI is IAS. Yes. And somehow Swami always had this, a soft corner, if I were to say, those generation of IAS officers, because this is one service which directly helps people. Absolutely. And there is, a lot which you can do to serve humanity through this. So, yes, as a student, as you said, I was in Bal Vikas. Then I also registered for sevadal in Shivam. I worked there for some time as a sevadal, but that was for a couple of years.
In Hyderabad?
In Hyderabad, before I, cleared the civil service exam. So, Swami was always responsible for whatever we do. Yes, because I'll tell you right from the beginning, like my +2 days onwards, I was a regular visitor to Shivam.
Okay.
So even in +2, we had this, not a study circle kind of a thing, but my Bal Vikas teachers there, they used to organize some classes, extra classes for students, college students. So +1, +2, we call that intermediate.
Yes, 11th and 12th now.
There it is, Intermediate Education Board. So perhaps the college was not good. I had taken some art subjects, and then we had professors from the Usmania University coming and teaching us in the evening for those things. That's what they had organized for us. So, the exposure for the later day preparation seems to have started way back in Shivam itself.
Wow.
So that's what I would say.
So the devotees in Shivam nurtured you.
Yes. Actually, we were there all through. I mean, I was playing there. Most of the time, because we used to live about 15, 20 minutes away from Shivam. So spare time has to be. Thankfully, those days, there were no diversions of cell phones and computers or iPads. So all you had to do is walk down to the nearest place.
Yes.
So that had started. That's how the journey has started. And yes, Swami, my father was a very staunch devotee.
Okay.
He used to come here often. Sometimes during the late 80s, he was here quite frequently. That was the time when he was in the Accountant General's office in Hyderabad. So they had a very lively study circle, Aegis Office study circle. So with the team, they used to come here. So once or twice when there was a direct interaction with Swami, interview and all. So Swami, my father asked him, Swami, my son has completed his post-graduation, doing his post-graduation. He wants to, whatever. He says, maybe I was thinking of becoming a lawyer.
Okay.
So he wants to do law. Swami said, IAS chairman. So that's how Swami had said.
Clear direction.
Yes,
ask him to do IAS.
IAS chairman. So my father came back and said, look, this is what Swami is saying. I said, okay. Swami says we do it. But anyway, we thought, I graduated in political science and then I was in the arts side. So the option is either you become a lawyer or a journalist or a civil servant. These are the options which were available that time.
But otherwise, you never thought about being
at the back of my mind, perhaps it was there. So, maybe otherwise you need a lot of preparation for that.
Absolutely, yeah. So
when people always asked you, why are you taking arts? I never told them that I was going to do law. Perhaps I said I'm going to take up civil service. So Swami only reflects what kind of, it's always determined. It's not as if,
And he was guiding your life.
Yeah.
At times it becomes obvious, but he was all the time there.
Yeah, he was all the time there. That's what I tell you, because I'll tell you some more instances. So then, so we said, fine. Then I got into the civil service in 90. And then that point of time...
So first attempt you cleared?
Yeah, it was a second attempt. First attempt was I just took a trial.
Okay. Just to know how it is.
Just to know. And then that was the time I just finished my MA. And that after that I didn't write the mains also. So I had to wait and clear it. So it's as good as the first attempt, but it was technically the second attempt. Basically, my teachers and all, I've been prepared for a competitive world. So, so that's how it is. And Swami's guidance all the time.
Yes.
Because the atmosphere at home was very good. Religious, studious, books and study circle. That kind of thing. So obviously one tends to get drawn towards studies. And my brothers also were into, both of them were in Bal Vikas. And one was a student here. in Swami's university. So when I cleared the civil service, what happened was that time there used to be a roster system. The roster system is you put the name on the state where the roster ends, so people land up wherever. So the person before me would have gone to Manipur, Tripura. The person after me would have gone to UP. So I had no problem serving anywhere in the country. But as usual, my father was kind of very worried that I might land up in some place where perhaps not to his liking. So I was always saying, no, it's okay, no problem. But he came here again.
Okay.
And then he met Swami. I mean, it's not an interview, but he was sitting in the line. Swami came and said, Swami, my son has cleared civil service. Swami said, I know. Telsu. Then I said, Swami, he might, he might get some other state. No, he says, no, South ostundi.
Someone said that.
You're going to get South India.
Oh, wow.
So then he came back and said, because my first option was foreign service.
Okay.
When you give at that point of time, we were giving options before the exam, before the results come. So because I was a political science and international relations student, so I had given foreign service. But since Swami had said IAS, then I had changed it later. And the pressure on me was also to change it to IAS because now my father comes back and tells, Swami has assured you that you're going to get South. So you have to change because that's Swami's word. So that's how I changed my option also after the results have come. Now, these days it's not there. These days you have to give it before. That point of time you can after results come within 10 days or 15 days you have to send a letter to Government of India saying this is my revised option. So that's how I landed up into the service, obviously with Swami's full grace and guidance.
Absolutely. He had already earmarked and destined how your
and
journey
then
is
landing
going
up
to
in Tamil Nadu also is perhaps predestined, Swami had said.
Yeah.
So,
Beautiful. So after that, you kept coming to Prashanti Nilayam?
yes, I kept coming. I came after that a couple of times. And I came in 91. We had a major event, life-changing event, the interview here.
Oh, okay.
With Swami, which determined the future course of my life, of course.
Oh, wow.
So
Tell us about
it was. But after that, anyway, I was visiting the temple, but after that I didn't kind of come. After all, Swami was there with all the time. I was visiting temples, we used to have bhajans, but there was a bit of a gap. I came again in 97, 98, and then again before Mahasamadhi, and then I've been a regular after that.
Yeah. So what were those directions from Bhagwan? As you started your career serving the government, you said you had that beautiful interview with Bhagwan. Anything you would like to share about, what became your guiding principles based on what Bhagwan had told you?
Surely, because that was the day, 91 September. I was here. And I came down from, I was an assistant collector trainee in Salem. So from there I was, I came down by bus. My parents had come here, my father. This Sai Kulwant Hall and all was not there that time. It was an open ground.
Yes.
So we were just sitting. I had just a day. So I was sitting and next day perhaps I had to go back. And there was a huge heavy rain. So everybody scattered and we were all standing near that, those houses.
Arches used to be there.
Yeah, arches. And also just behind that, those houses. We just escaped into the houses. Luckily, or whatever, that is again Swami's destiny, Swami's will. My brother was a student here. He was sitting in the veranda. So somehow Swami said, you people have come, ask them to come.
Oh, okay.
So he said, your father has come, your brother has come, ask them to come. So this boy was, desperately searching where we are. So he just came out and he was waving all over. And we had one teacher here who is also from political science. Professor Gangadhar Shastri was here. So, so he knew me because both of us had the same teacher in MPhil. His teacher also was my teacher.
Oh, okay.
So that's how I knew him. So he was somewhere there. He came and said, your brother is looking for you. Swami is calling you, come. Where are you? So we went there. So after that, it was inside the interview room. So even that is determined. You see, there's rain, there's confusion and kind of all kinds of things.
Absolutely.
So first, Swami, generally he was generally telling us, first of all, he asked me, what is happening? What is happening in your mind? Something like that. I said, Swami, nothing. He said, no. Then he said, no, you have to be, you are in the IAS means everybody is watching you. You are a Swami student.
Wow.
So you have to live up to Swami's principles. This is, not in the exact words, but in Telugu he was saying that. అందరు చూస్తుంటారు నేను, అందరు గమనిస్తుంటారు, that kind of thing. So he was telling that. And then he also was telling me what is service. He says service is the main thing. Money comes and goes, morality comes and goes. These are the regular things which Swami tells me. Then he was telling about the character.
Yes.
If money is lost, nothing is lost. If character is lost, everything is lost. And then he says, you are being in the Swami's fold, you are a Bal Vikas student, and you are here, your father is here, they are nice people. So you have to live up to Swami's expectations. So Swami is always with you. Swami is always with you. That kind of thing he was telling me. And that's the time also he said, he fixed my wedding. I mean, it's not as if when he says this is the girl you have to because that was inside. I mean, the smaller room you go in, that's between me and Swami. My father also had come along. So that was a life-changing thing in the sense, both in the terms of career and also wedding and all that.
Yes.
Swami said he's determined the future course of my life, as it
Absolutely.
were. And then after the wedding was, since we are on this subject, my father again came back asking, Swami, will you perform the wedding? I mean, he could have performed the wedding, but that was not to be. What he said was, this is, somehow he used to have this word collector. He used to call that. I mean, I was not a collector then, I was just an assistant collector, a very junior official. He said, collector పెళ్ళి అంటే చాలా మంది వస్తారు. There is no వసతి లేదు ఇక్కడ. Collector's wedding, lot of people will come. Perhaps we didn't, maybe in the heart of hearts, we were not kind of thinking that it should happen here or something like that. So Swami said, so why don't you have it in Hyderabad? Then I'll bless them.
Okay.
I'll bless the couple. So 92 I got married. It was in August. And exactly 3 days after the wedding, Swami was in Sivam.
Okay.
So I didn't have to come back here. So I was sitting there. I didn't even tell anybody that I need Swami's blessings. I was sitting in third or fourth row or something. A whole lot of crowd. But he came straight. He came straight, looked at me and kind of recognized that recognition in his face, straight eye contact and blessing. So that promise which he had made saying that I'll bless you people. So that he had done. So that was about that.
Amazing. So you mentioned that, Swami was so particular in that interview that he gave you, even as he was fixing up everything in your life, he was also giving you directions and a mission to work for, even though you're not strictly working for the Sri Sathya Sai mission, that way not for the Sathya Sai organization, but wherever you are, he wanted you to be living up to his ideals and working in the government, working with people with different kind of ideologies. How easy or difficult was it for you to practice and live up to his teachings in the initial years? And of course, maybe it was easier as you grew up in the ladder. But please do tell us, is it something that every youth should take it up with that determination to do it? Because there are all the time those fears that, there are too many challenges if you want to go on that path, and probably your career will get short-circuited. Probably you'll be transferred to places where you don't want to work. You have to deal with all those things if you say, I will only walk in tune with my conscience. How was your experience?
Yeah, service, IAS is what I used to call is an almighty service. So always it's not the Indian administrative service. If you look at that from almighty service is what. Because most of the guys, they say, I'm always safe. So that's how they work. So that is not the attitude one should have.
Yeah.
It's not the attitude of I am safe and, if it is almighty service, then the Almighty will take care of you. Yes. That's my principle in life.
Wow.
Obviously, challenges will come. I mean, it's not as if nobody has challenges in other sectors of life. After all, there are stakeholders in the system.
Yes.
And every stakeholder has some kind of right on the system.
Correct.
And the ultimate goal is serving the people. What is good to the people. And once everybody realizes that this is the guy who is doing the right thing, I don't think beyond a point nobody is going to force you to do what is not to be done. I mean, the problem is that most of us or most of people would like to be too obliging. But if it's always a right thing and you have to do it, you can convince the people. I mean, I've been in very sensitive places, and I don't think nobody has asked me to do anything wrong. And there are things which you can do, which you can contribute to the society, being in this public service.
Yes.
And that is something which I like about this. And I'll tell you one or two instances. I'll tell you when I was posted as collector in Virudunagar. I was that point of time, there was these old age pensions and all used to be given. That there used to be a rule, I think all over the states, all over in Government of India also, that if there is an old person, the pension will not be given if he has a surviving child. That has been now changed. If it is old and if somebody is destitute person is left to fend for himself or herself. But suppose somewhere in the world he has a surviving child. So somebody gives a report saying that this fellow has a child and he is not eligible for an old age pension. I mean, that's a very unfair thing, but that was the rule. And that has been entirely changed now. It's not the rule anymore. But at that point of time, I went to an old age home. There's a place called Tiruchuli. It's the birthplace of Sri Ramana Maharshi. So there was a big old age home and all kinds of destitutes there, and all of them were there in the old age home. And unfortunately, about 50% of them were not getting pensions. Very paltry amount, but that also, they used to buy medicines and whatever. And the reason I found out was that this rule. So I said, let us waive this. I mean, why not? After all, they are not staying with their children. They have been abandoned. They are destitutes. They are staying in an old age home. So we sanctioned it to everybody. And subsequently, it went up to the government. Obviously, not as a kind of a positive thing, that it was kind of went up as a negative thing, saying that this guy has transgressed the rule. And somebody has pointed it out, saying the collector has given it to everybody, some audit, short or whatever happens that time. But fortunately for me, the person at the helm, the chief minister or somebody, took a decision saying that this is the correct thing. So let us change the whole entire policy. So after that, the policy was changed and said this is what he has done is correct. So after that, the entire state started getting benefit. Now that same policy has been taken over by Government of India also.
Fantastic.
So it's a kind of, that's a small one minor instance where you live by the principles of Swami. Say Swami will take care, let us go ahead and do this. And it has become a policy. So that is a minor instance, which where I thought I'll share. And there are many, kind of things where you really help. There are situations where, another instance of tsunami, I had already put it in the public domain once. I spoke to the people here. So we had this 2004, a major tsunami. We didn't even know what it was. I mean, none of us knew that something called a tsunami existed.
And people in India became more familiar with what is a tsunami when that tsunami happened.
The joke was going on was that major tsunami is going to come was what the weatherman or somebody said. They thought a major T tsunami will come. So nobody predicted it. I mean, that was the joke in the kind of... So that had come and we were all taken by surprise for the first 2 days. There was a huge loss of property and of course life, which is a very unfortunate thing. But that was a learning phase for everybody. The country also learned a lot of things from that, and after that we have done a lot of things in disaster management. I was in post, I finished my district terms, I was in Chennai. Suddenly they told me that, you have to go to a particular place. Nagapattinam is one district in Tamil Nadu, where the maximum life casualties were there. A good friend of mine was the collector there, but he needs support. Obviously, you can't. So he was there. About 10 of us were sent there. So each district was divided into 10 parts. So one IAS officer was given to one part. So I landed in a place called Vedaranyam. That was on the second day after tsunami, because by the time we could mobilize and rush, we went with a team. A huge loss of, I had about 75 bodies lying around.
Oh my God.
In that particular thing. Imagine one particular firqa. We call it, firqa or tehsil in the tahsil and firqa. That's a revenue division. So we went there. There were some bodies and all kinds of dismemberment and mutilation. 2 days have already happened. So burying had to be done. Some final rites had to be done. Imagine, other places it was even more. So that is when, all your training with Swami comes into play. None of, this kind of things nobody does. We had a few volunteers, about 10 of them, and some government officials. So desperately looking to dispose of. The families were in distress. They can't come and do it. And all of them had run away somewhere. We don't even know. They were looking for them. We didn't even know. We couldn't even identify some of the bodies. So what we said was these voluntary organizations will come. Some of them had come. They said, sir, we'll do everything. We'll distribute food. We'll distribute milk. But this item of work is not something which we do.
Oh.
So that's something.
Nobody wanted to do that.
Nobody wants to do it. Then I said, okay, I send my people saying, you go stand in the highway. There will be definitely some people with white and white coming in with blue scarves. Such a Sai organization will come. Just catch hold of one bus and ask them to come here. Tell them Sai Kumar is one person who is here. He would like you to help him. So that's how because this is a remote area. So there was a main road. There were a lot of teams going all over, right from Madras to Kanyakumari. A lot of teams were going. People had come from Andhra. People had come from Karnataka. And then the local devotees. I didn't even know any of them. So one cartload of people were brought there. Our own volunteers. Within a day, they finished the entire work.
Wow.
No questions asked.
Which nobody wanted to do.
Which not many people would have volunteered to do. And these are all people who have, I don't know. They must be from various sectors, well-to-do. Some of them, we don't know what profession, what this thing. Yes. All of them were united by love for Swami, and they were all sevadal. Then after that, I said, there is another friend of mine who is in the neighboring place. Why don't you go and help him? So this kind of things, these are the ones which the sevadal and Swami's fold teaches you. And these are the ones which we should be proud of as being Swami's followers.
Yes, absolutely. When you're filled with such a sense of fulfillment, when you're able to do things like that. And these are things, as you said, only you will find Sathya Sai Sevadals willing to go ahead and do, where nobody else wants to go near.
That's right.
Wow.
Only Swami's Sevadals. They didn't ask any question. They said, what is the work to be done? This is the work. Food and all. I said, food and all is being taken care by XYZ. Why don't you kind of help in this? They said, yes, why not?
Wow.
All of them have done it. And they were actually applauded by the villagers. Actually, villagers came and kind of gave them food and all that. This is something which is appreciated.
Wow.
So the Sairam people, as they call them, the Sairam people had come.
Yes.
The Sairam people had come and done this work.
Wow.
And fishermen, all of them. And that's what, after that, lot of work, people have done lot of things in rehabilitation and all that. But I was telling that particular moment when we needed the most, whom do you turn to? I can't go back and talk to people saying, why don't you send people? Everywhere there is a need of people. The regular government machinery cannot function in this kind of situation. So after that, I think our people have been involved in a lot of disaster management activities, and also we got to get them involved much more.
Yes.
But this was the first exposure and my first brush with the Sevadal doing this kind of work.
Wow. Beautiful. So, even in your official position, just like you mentioned about the pension story, you are also someone who was responsible to bring down female infanticide in one district. Was it in Dharmapuri?
Yeah, it was Dharmapuri.
I think that was also a very amazing, fantastic work. How was that experience, and what was your learning? What was your inspiration? I know there will be many such things that you would have done in a professional career, but No,
once the motive
it's very heartening to hear.
Once the motive is to serve, basically these are the raw points which stuck out at you, where you need to intervene. So that Dharmapuri was a district which is infanticide prone. Not that, the system was to punish. That won't help. Because, who is the culprit here? The culprit is the mother and the grandmother. So that you need to kind of enlighten them. You need to tell them. You need to tell them what is life, what is a girl, what is a girl child. And then you need to give them some kind of social security after that. So that's what, these are the initiatives which the government had. I mean, fortunately for me, the government supported me fully in that. So because of the government support, we said initially you have to tell them that, this is punishable. But punishment alone will not help, because after all, it's a social kind of a melee, and social melee needs to be dealt with socially. So we had to kind of intervene and give them a system of writing cards to the district administration saying that anonymously somewhere something is happening, so you have to prevent. So somebody in the family gives you an anonymous tip saying, look here, there's a girl child coming in, so that might not survive. So then our people will go land up there and kind of... And these are obviously the inspiration is what Swami is, the teachings of Swami.
Wow.
So, but we also said a lot of educational activities went into that, and a lot of NGOs were involved.
In your 31 years service in the government, what were those very fulfilling moments? Some of these moments, some initiatives that you were able to do where you had the support of the government machinery, and you were able to bring a lot of change. And today when you look back, you have a lot of satisfaction.
Yeah, every moment is like that. And basically, it's you have your good moments, you have your bad moments. But right from the sub-collector days, we have been working in the field. So the major ones are disaster management is one thing where it's very fulfilling, that you could do something directly.
Yes.
And other things, otherwise, you are a face in the file. You are sitting behind a desk and doing things that nobody would know. But if you go to the field and do it, people remember you for your work. Even today, people remember whatever little. I mean, there are people, officers who are remembered even after 40 years and 50 years. So that's their legends. So these are the ones which, I mean, I work for disaster management, then work in the electricity board. That is something which I cherish.
Yeah, do talk about that.
There are lots of, I mean, it's a challenge. Working, it's a major organization. It's a challenge. Losses had to be brought down. And by tightening of the belt had to be done. And luckily for me, the entire support machinery was behind me. The government did support me. So you could take tough decisions, in terms of manpower management, in terms of material management and stuff. But we also had massive crisis during that time. One was a huge flood in Chennai.
Yes.
And the other one, a couple of cyclones. So again in Chennai, one in the south. So that we had to deal with those things also. And, power is so important that, unless power is restored, nothing can happen these days. Airports, the railway station, the hospitals, everybody is on tenterhooks.
Yes.
Depending, entire focus will be on you. So what's happening?
Yes.
What are you doing? So that's where Swami, I mean, the entire support system is for me is Bhagwan. So that's the only support system with which I could work. So look back and say, Swami is there. So let us work for him. That's how it is. So whatever, it might be very inconvenient for you working, you're going into the field, you're sleeping in the office, you're not able to go home. The family is left somewhere alone. But all that is in the service of the Lord.
Yes.
So there's no hassle about it. You have to do it. That's how it is. So these are the ones which are cherished the most.
I mean, when you think about it, as you are saying, you can definitely bring change. And, many times we'll feel, can we really bring change? Is it really possible? How many people can you change? The whole system has to be changed. But, listening to you, you feel so encouraged that if you have that will, you can definitely bring change. And I think you'll always find like-minded people who will support you. And once you do a few things, perhaps you establish that credibility. And you can definitely bring that positivity and reforms, isn't it?
Certainly. If you are willing and wanting to change things. I mean, Swami also in many of the, I think I've read so many of his speeches where he spoke to the MBA students.
Yes.
They have to be the change agents. I mean, it's not as if, you are agents of change.
Yes.
That's what Swami used to say. So change is something which happens, whether it happens with your intervention for the good or it goes on normally. That is something. But for doing good, I mean, this is one of the services where I had ample opportunities.
Yes.
And ample opportunities given by Swami to serve the people. And one has to work on that. Yes, definitely you can kind of bring change, especially for the youth. These days, I keep telling the youngsters, they have to get into the service. I mean, the options of going abroad and taking an Infosys job or an IT job is there. But we have people who have done IT sector, who have made a lot of money, but came into public service.
Yes.
Because this is the most fulfilling thing one can do. And I have people, I mean, the younger batches are coming in, all those who are done from the IITs and the IIMs, and then they still come to do it.
Yes.
So, but what the challenge before us is to, keep their motivation up, keep them motivated. I mean, because, after this point of time, the world is a difficult place.
Yes.
And you face all the challenges, and it's not challenges on the work front. It's challenges on every front.
Yes.
And everything is not positive. So one has to face that. So that is where the spirituality, and that is where your study circles, that is where teachings of Swami, they help. So that's why our efforts in the IAS study circle, I try to bring in as many youngsters as possible now.
Wow.
Now we have some people who have retired, and there are also others who are now, thanks to the pandemic, we are doing virtual. So people who otherwise normally cannot come and listen to us and come to the study circle physically are joining virtually.
Now.
And what used to be an IAS Tamil Nadu study circle has become an all India kind of a study circle.
Wow.
Sathya Sai study circle. So that is one thing. So definitely change has to be brought around, and definitely the youngsters are the change agents. I mean, I've been in the service for 30 years now. I might have another 5 years to go. But one who has joined now, there are youngsters from Swami's fold who has come in now. I know a couple of people there, and especially they are ladies. So they are the ones who are working now. And I know people who are working and implementing Swami's ideals. So
Wow.
that's how it is.
Amazing. How was this experience of organizing this IA study circle? Can you share with us, your moments of deep satisfaction for having continued this? Because perhaps you would have come across people who knew not much about Bhagwan or got exposed to his teachings because of this study circle, people who hold influential positions and, now knowing about Bhagwan, his work, his mission, perhaps would have opened their eyes to something that they had never thought before. Have you come across that kind of experiences?
Yes. I mean, I've again, let me tell you, I'm not the one who started this. This IA study circle was there for 25 years now. It's more than 25 years. We had a senior officer, we still have him. He is now in the UK, Mr. Rangarao. He was a staunch devotee of Swami. So he, with a few other devotees, had started this. He used to come to Perth and he started the study circle. Somehow, post 2004, 2005, I have been organizing this. And it's been pretty active. IA study circle is where we meet at least once a month in one of the devotees' houses. The hosting of the study circle is done by an IAS officer, but anybody can come. So in one civil IAS, Tamil Nadu IAS officer's house, it happens. So we start with bhajan, and recently we started also doing Rudram chanting. After Rudram chanting, then bhajan, and then somebody speaks. We had eminent speakers coming and speaking. And I'll tell you, Swami's presence is felt in every study circle.
Wow.
And there are so many instances. I'll come to the transformation bit. I mean, a lot of people have come.
Yes.
But in my own house, we were doing a study circle once. The day before, I had a dream saying, Swami said, I'll come to your meeting.
Oh.
So I told my people, my wife and all, that this is what has happened. And obviously nobody took me seriously. And we had a study circle. End of the study circle, after the Aarti, there was a whole lot of vibhuti on the photo.
Amazing.
Swami's, so that was there for everybody to see. So this is a study circle which Swami has given us approval. And once, not only in my house, once Dr. Mohan, the famous diabetologist, was speaking in our study circle. And it was in my house again. And he was generally casually mentioning about miracles. He just said, after you might have vibhuti from this photo itself. He just casually pointed to a photo and said, you might have vibhuti. And that's it. After that, the study circle ended. Then we had the Aarti. And after that, we were all having our prasad. suddenly somebody said the Vibhuti is coming. So it's a kind of a validation of Dr. Mohan's statement, saying this is because he was mentioning some instances which had happened in Sai Kailash. We have that Uti temple. He was mentioning in that context, he said. So he said, things are coming. I virtually saw chocolates coming out to the photograph, and there's Vibhuti. I also was a witness to such instances there. And then in casually he said, Swami, for all that I know, he might start giving you Vibhuti from this photo itself. So that is where again this Vibhuti had started coming. Then again, once more, we were having one speaker, say Ramani was speaking in one of the study circles. And as he was speaking, everybody was kind of doing namaskar and all that. So he was thinking that maybe they were all doing it to him. But behind him, in the photo, it started flowing. The Vibhuti started flowing. Oh. So it's a virtual live show kind of a thing. We all saw it with this thing. So this, wherever IAS study circle has been happening, we know that Swami's presence is, and then the flower garlands falling and all. So that's perhaps because, I said there are people Swami perhaps likes. And
Swami says
that's
miracles.
because the service, miracles as visiting cards, and it's also to kind of transform people. Like there are people who come, who are not, perhaps all of them are not devotees. They might be Ramakrishna devotees. I mean, that's how they come. We call people like-minded people. And they might be from Ramakrishna Math, they might be from something else, and they come. And all of them have obviously learnt about Swami in this study circle. And those who are not devotees also have become devotees, definitely. They've become devotees. And they've been asking for some organizing a trip to Perthi once. Oh. We should do it now. Because of the pandemic, I have not been able to organize. Okay. But when Swami was in his physical form, we had meetings in the IAS study circle with Swami. All of them went to Kodaikanal.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I was not there in that. But there was a group in Kodaikanal. So we had a directory of the Satsang IAS study circle which Swami had autographed with gloves.
Wow.
He has autographed, and that is the one which we circulate to all of us. And then that was the time Chennai water project was being done.
Yes.
And so one of the officers mentioned to Swami, saying, Swami, thanks to you, there will be no water shortage this year. Swami said, not this year. No, never. He says, he said in Telugu, "Ee samvatsaram kaadu, eppudu raadu."
Amazing.
So he says, so that's how so touch wood from that day onwards, whatever is the drought, Chennai has been managing after the water project. So this is the group which had an interaction. So those group has now, I think, have retired and they become seniors. But there are others, youngsters and all in the thing. But all of them attend the meetings. So if not physically, they attend virtually. So that's one thing which we have.
And as you were saying, the kind of impact that it has had on newcomers and people who didn't know much about Bhagwan.
Yes. And not only on newcomers, but I think we have now a lawyer study circle in Chennai.
Yes.
After the IAS study circle, an advocate study circle has come. Doctors, they are doing it.
Beautiful.
And now recently the finance professionals have started it.
Amazing.
So I won't claim that we are the predecessors, of course. But this is all Swami's grace,
Lovely trend.
This is a trend. So where you start something in good faith and others also follow it. So now the latest one is the finance professionals, which I think just before the start of the pandemic, it was flagged off. So these are major ones which has happened thanks to some seniors of us who are devotees of Swami.
Were there instances, in your professional life, serving in various places as collector and commissioner and secretary level, where people were little amazed about the way you work and they got curious about Bhagwan? Seeing you, they wanted to know how is this person the way he is, and they began to explore about Swami. Has any time such events happened?
Yeah, lots of people are there. Obviously, I don't want to mention names, but a lot of people have told me that, this study circle perhaps, or because that gives you a lot of ego if they say, because of you, we have been converted. So I don't claim any such kind of a thing. But definitely people have come into Swami's fold, which I know. wherever I worked, because we organize bhajans, and they also see our functioning, they see our working. So I don't claim any superiority, I don't claim any greatness, but definitely it is Swami's will that we are just reflecting what Swami's glory. It's not as if this is not something which otherwise without him we would nothing. We just any other Tom, Dick and Harry in the street. So everybody is special as far as Swami is concerned. So that reflected glory perhaps passed on. And people have come into the fold. I have a lot of cases, and people have said in their own fields when they were talking, when they were saying thanks to so and so, thanks to this study circle, thanks to this person, we have in the Swami's fold. Actually, way back, I'll tell you one instance. Way back, what happened was when my father was here, he came. That time my mother was very sick. It was about 30 years back. So Swami gave him a small Shivalingam. He said, you do some, he didn't even say do proper Abhishekam. He just said pour some water and give it to her. She was very sick. We thought she would not survive. So that was the changing point in all our life. So there he used to do that and give it. She recovered and she went on for the next 30 years. She just passed away last year at the ripe old age of 83.
Amazing.
84. That time she was hardly 50. So, but what happened was after that, a lot of people used to come for the Tirdham to our house. So that was a turning point. A lot of people got, people who were sick, people who were not keeping well. They used to come and take Swami's Prasad Tirdham from Abhisheka Tirdham. So that after my father passed away, I also started doing it. So now that again I'm also giving. That is another instance which I thought I'll tell you as a part of this. When my father passed away, the entire lingam was put in a box and happily locked up in a bureau. I was not doing regular abhishekam to that. There's a small chipping off of the base. So I said, otherwise it will break, so let us not keep it in the puja, we lock it up. So I had this one strange dream where Swami appeared and said, why are you not doing abhishekam to this?
Oh my God.
So I said, Swami, it's broken. I said, I am in the wheelchair, you stop worshipping me. I am moving on the wheelchair, so would you stop worshipping me? So that was a major event. That was a dream when Swami was in physical form. I mean, it's not as if that was in 2009 or 2008. That's when. So I took it out again, and that was a gap. And my father passed away in 2009, and then for some time we put it in kind of cold storage as kind of a thing. We were not worshipping it daily. After that, I am doing a regular abhishekam. So, and then that Tirdham also we keep giving. So that is an instance where, Swami interferes and says, look here, what you're doing is not correct.
In that interview in 91, he told, I'm there with you all the time.
Yeah.
So I think perhaps there'll be any number of instances in your life when, he in some way sends you a sign, it comes in a dream or sends some message, wherever he felt you're not on the path. He somehow sends a message so that you know that he's constantly watching.
He is constantly there. He's constantly behind us. And there are lots of instances. I don't want to kind of tell my own cases.
No, please do share. It helps us to, develop our faith.
Because this post-Mahasamadhi, of course, pre-Mahasamadhi also, that I told you about this lingam, and then my education in this thing. And post-Mahasamadhi, of course, there are lots of instances where Swami...
Please.
But let me tell you one, this thing, as you said, this course correction or chiseling, as you would say.
Yes.
That happened when Swami was still physically present. So we had this Ananda Nilayam in Madurai. I don't know if you've seen that. Swami's
beautiful temple.
Beautiful temple. So that at that point of time, I was Commissioner Madurai Corporation. As you know, commissioners are the ones who kind of clear the building plans and stuff. So for some reason, I just got posted. It was pending for whatever reason. Somebody was not happy about a temple coming up there. So one of my senior officers rang me up. He was a very staunch devotee. He said, Swami has posted you there. This is a very pakka thing. It's nothing wrong with that thing, but something is happening. So kindly have a look at it. If everything is okay, if everything is as per rules, you need to get it cleared. So I saw everything was clear. I went and had a look at the place also. Everything was pakka. There was nothing wrong with anything. I mean, after all, in Swami's thing, nothing wrong happens. So that's the confidence. So I gave it the clearance. And then the construction had started. And the construction was over in 2 years' time, in a record time of 2 years. So you had this feeling, no, that you were the Karanakarta for this, doing this.
I mean, once you came, things moved and happened.
So I was always thinking, this is my baby. So I went and visited it, and they said, okay, let me. And Swami would come for that, so I need to sit right in the front. And somebody would have to tell him that, this is the boy who did that. Or I'll have to say, Swami, something must be happening at the back of my mind. Not that these things have happened or I didn't verbalize all this. It went...
But a good opportunity for you if Swami comes.
Yeah. But what happened was just 2 months before that, I got transferred out to Dharmapuri.
You got transferred out?
He was coming. So he was coming in May, January, about 4-5 months before. I was out of Madurai. And as a collector, I was posted as collector. And as collector, you can't come back again. It's a pretty tough job. You have to be there in the district all the time. So that's where the bubble will have to be burst somewhere. Bubble burst. So I said, fine, Dharmapuri is also near to Hosur and that is Swami's route. So let me invite Swami to come home. And somebody local, we have a bhajan. So they said, Swami comes to our home. You have to make arrangements. And then I talked to people here and Madras, then Bangalore, of course. And they said, if they are going there, 2 minutes stop. We'll arrange some lunch and all. I thought I'll also come and invite Swami. He didn't say anything. They said, fine. Then, but that particular year, all the years he was going by road, that particular year took a flight to Madurai.
99.
So, so that was the time he went by flight. So there your, all your ego, your burst, that you're the collector, that you'd come to your house and then have something. All that will have to be burst somewhere. So that happened. But I immediately after that, Swami came back to Bangalore. I went to Whitefield. I just sat there. I just sat in the line. Then he came down and gave me a vibhuti. And touched me on the shoulder, patted me on the shoulder. Wow. So I was wearing a white shirt. I kept that shirt for quite some time. So because that's kind of...
divine touch.
Yeah, divine touch. That particular shirt, he just patted me and threw some vibhuti on my face and went off. So a lot of vibhuti had come that time. He'd given that. So that's kind of,
yeah, I mean, whenever...
I'm there with you, but, you have to be kind of... It's not your doing. It's kind of...
know that.
You know that.
I am the wire puller.
So don't kind of bloat or gloat on your this thing.
Yeah, wow.
So these are the achievement kind of instances.
Yeah.
And of course, things keep happening. Some vibhuti, some dream, some time. And
in your professional life also, were there times, when you were in a very tight situation, trying to deal with a certain problem, and suddenly solution appears, and you don't know how it happens. Suddenly you see his invisible hand making things happen, though it does not seem like this could have been a solution, but a solution just emerges. Have you ever had that kind of experiences trying to solve issues at various levels in the government?
At every level, there's a solution given by Swami. That is what I should say. It's not major crises keep coming. I mean, you can't mention everything because a lot of people will be involved and egos will be involved, offenses, and they'll get offended. But there is always some crisis or the other in public life. There is always a crisis. And when there is a crisis, you have to take recourse to prayer.
Yes.
And let me say, Swami has been answering it.
Beautiful.
In one way or the other. Somewhere it's a message or a solution appears on its own or somebody comes and tells us. Something happens all the time. It's not as if he leaves you high and dry. It doesn't happen anyway.
Once you want to walk on the path shown by him, he is always there.
He is always there. He's always there. He's always there. And it's the correct path also. And things settle on their own. And things go on smoothly. And if something bad happens also, it's his will. It's not as if everything will be rosy and everything will be.
Yes.
Because there is something which has been willed, which might be a longer good, greater good.
Yes.
Or good thing might happen after some time.
Yes.
It's not immediately. It might appear to everybody saying, "Why is this happening?" So that's the miracle of Swami.
Yeah.
So that's how it is.
Absolutely. Amazing. I think that gives you a lot of tenacity. I think holding on to Swami gives you a lot of tenacity when you're taking all these tough decisions and trying to bring in reforms. And as you were saying, even though Swami is physically not there now, you continue to feel his presence in so many ways. And that's like a daily experience, isn't it?
Actually, that's what I keep telling people, because my own case, I was here in 91. I must have come after a gap of 4 or 5 years. After that, again, after 3 years. After that, before Mahasamadhi. Must have what? I'm not a student here. So after you go into the professional life, you kind of can't. But every point of time, Swami has been guiding.
Yes.
So it's kind of, though physically he was present here, he was, it's a kind of one-to-one conversation with Swami.
You develop that inner connect.
Spirit, yeah, that inner connect. So same thing is happening. I don't find any difference after that. I'll tell you one instance. Before Mahasamadhi, I had a dream where, Swami was showing, on the day he passed away, he was showing the hospital room to me.
Wow.
And quoting a Bhagavad Gita verse, which I mentioned in one of the things, saying that, avajananti mam moodaha, manushim tanumasritam, param bhavam ajavanto, mama bhuta maheswaram. People don't understand that I am the greatest Parameshwara himself. They think I am immortal. There was a lot of crowd outside.
Yes. So this is what Swami is telling you in the dream.
Yeah,
the day he left his mortal coil. People don't understand.
Yeah, that was just the day he passed
one.
away. That was the day he left his mortal form.
Amazing.
So I was early morning kind of a thing. So immediately I rushed to Sundaram. I was not here. I rushed to Sundaram. And, that's how it... So he was telling me, that's how it happens, And after that, this Vibhuti formations at home. I'll tell you some very crazy instances. I'll tell you what. One was once in 2015. I'm a regular visitor to Sundaram. 2015, on our wedding anniversary, we went to Sundaram. So normally I go on a Sunday. But this happened to be a Saturday. Or Friday, Saturday. That's the day when the main altar of Sundaram had Vibhuti formation. So obviously we were blessed, and my wife was saying that, it has come for us, and everybody was asking, why did you come today? Because you were supposed to come tomorrow. I said, today is a wedding anniversary. So they said, look here, this is what has come. So then I was saying, if it had come, as the crow flies, my house is 2 kilometers away. So I was generally telling my wife, if it had come for us, for you, it should have come at home, not here. That kind of things I should not have said. And she said, you are incorrigible. And you are like this only all the time. So both of us went home and then opened the puja shelf. There's a whole lot of vibhuti.
Oh my God.
So it's like saying, don't be flippant. I'm watching you.
I'm watching you.
You can't be flippant always. So this is something. And once my 2012, we came here. For my daughter was doing her first, what we call public performance in dance. We call it Arangetram in South. So she was doing it. So I brought the invitation. And before that, what happened, we were going for a photo shoot. I put an invitation before Swami's thing, and we all went for her photo shoot. When we came back, there was vibhuti on that. And he was blessing kind of a thing. So these are the things which, might look strange. And these are small things, but, this is where Swami is directly blessing you. And then we put the invitation there. Again, there was vibhuti on that. So we came here, we put the invitation, went back, and then that's how he blessed her. Another instance was again in Sundaram. I had this dream where Swami was saying that, the room upstairs. And I was saying, I had not been able to come to Sundaram to Parthi after Mahasamadhi for quite some time. About 2 to 3 years I didn't come. I came in 2012 only after that. July I came. So immediately I couldn't come. So I was thinking I didn't come. So that dream, Swami said, why do you bother? I am here in Sundaram. Sundaram also is my place, he was saying. And incidentally, he was mentioning, that pillow there in the bedroom, they have locked it up. They have removed it. Why don't you see?
Swami said that?
Yeah.
In Sundaram?
So, yeah. So I was kind of, I remembered the dream, but I was kind of feeling very embarrassed to go and tell somebody, saying, what happened was they were cleaning up the room. So I went and told Mr. Chandran, who was the caretaker there, saying, sir, something is wrong in the Swami's room. That pillow is not there. And have a look at it. Very, very hesitantly, I told him. So he went and saw. Actually, the pillow was not there. They have removed it and put it in the almirah when they were cleaning the room.
Oh my God.
So, so very minor incident, but that's where it's just to prove two things. One is he's in connection.
Yeah.
Second is he is everywhere. It's not as if you don't have to say that he's here, he's there. He's everywhere. It's Sundaram or Anandanalayam or Sivam or wherever it is.
Yeah.
So after that, it's now regularly they clean up the room and everything is being done. I think Dr. Mohan also quoted that in his book, Swami Lives On, in my instance, which is I happen to tell like a very few people that kind of instance. So these are few instances where Swami is constantly in touch. He's guiding you all the time. And wherever you sincerely make a prayer, it is answered immediately. It is answered immediately. A lot of personal things I keep asking. When I come here, I keep a letter on the Samadhi and go. Immediately there's a solution within a day or two.
Wow.
Within a day or two, there's a solution. Be it a positive thing or an immediate solution, or be it a crisis also that gets resolved. I mean, there are a lot of things which happen in a life, and in official life, personal life. So it happens. So Swami is a living presence as far as I am concerned. He is there all the time. And when you sincerely pray, and I think it happens to everybody. Everybody must be having that kind of thing. So recently also I put one letter and immediately there was an answer. So it's a personal thing, but still I thought I just...
Wow.
So
I think it's a question of each person connecting to him within.
Swami, yes.
That's all. And as Swami said, he's there with you watching, and that's true for everyone. It's a question of reconnecting. And so beautifully in your life, you have connected to Swami in Shivam, you have connected to Swami in Sundaram, you have connected to Swami in Prashantinilayam, you have connected to Swami in the altar of your home, wherever you are. And I think that is such a powerful message for all of us. You can do whatever you want, and you can walk on the path of truth, walk on the path of dharma, knowing that he is going to be there as your strength, and he will always be there.
Yes, that's right. You've summed it up correctly. That's how it is. Swami is there all the time. But even if you are not so righteous or you die slightly deviating, if you have faith in him, he'll correct you.
He'll correct you.
I've known instances where people who were slightly going astray have been put back. Their egos have been corrected.
He will chisel you.
He will chisel you. He will chisel you. He will take care of you. And he is there always. So as he said in the interview, I am there with you always. I am before you, in front of you, and that kind of, he usually says, no?
Yes. In you, around you.
In you, around you, before you, behind you. I am always there with you. Bangaru, ni kela kangaru, kind of thing he says. So he is there with you. With that, I think Swami is there with you, with us always. And the youngsters, especially those who are coming into the public service, should have faith in God. I mean, Swami always doesn't say, you have to have faith in him. He says, if it's okay if you have faith in goodness. If you have faith in God, it's fine. Somebody said, I don't believe in God. Say, if you believe in yourself and believe in goodness.
Yes.
And that is there also, Swami. He doesn't preach saying, he doesn't never ask us to kind of come here or, worship him or worship a particular dharma. I mean, these are the days when people are, kind of getting polarized. Swami's philosophy is the ultimate. You have everybody. He says it can be Allah, it can be Jesus, it can be Rama, it can be Krishna, it can be Zoroaster, anybody. So with that, if we go ahead, I think that there'll be a golden period for our country. That's how it should be.
Wow.
So that's how it is.
And perhaps you're waiting for more youngsters to join public service.
Yes.
More youngsters filled with Sai ideals.
Yes, definitely. More youngsters should come. More Swami students should come in. That's what, and I think that's what I sincerely feel. If they are trained here, it's the best training ground. I mean, after all, I was only part of Bal Vikas, but some look at Swami students who are doing it. So, Swami students, more of them should take public service. and come into civil services. And there are people always in Swami service, in civil service from Swami's thing. But I think we should encourage more of them to come in.
Yes.
And more of Bal Vikas students to come in, so that at least the ideals are practiced in public life.
Yes. Wow. Well, just like Swami guided you, you had never thought of being an IAS officer. Swami definitely will be, guiding so many lives who are needed for the country. Very beautiful, sir. Thank you so much. Definitely very inspiring to hear from you that, one can become a change agent, and all we have to do is have that faith and have that purity of intent. How does it feel being in the Sri Sathya Sai Media Center?
Great. We only have been the other side. I mean, I've been seeing I'm addicted to the Sathya Sai Media Center. And these days, thanks to the internet and the YouTube channel, wherever you go, you carry it. And, and it's good. Early morning, right from the beginning, we start our day with this thing, Ashtotram. And then Vedam is this thing. What happens in Prashanthi Nilayam is what.
Log into Prashanthi Mandir live.
That's what. Before getting ready for office and doing my puja, that's my regular routine now. Mm-hmm. So that's been the case. And the kind of exposure we're getting, I mean, the instances, people, I know everybody. They might not know me, but all those who have spoken, all those I see in the line sitting there, and all those who are doing bhajan, at some point of time they are in the media center, so we get to know what their experiences are, and wonderful experiences they have here, and their commitment and what they do here. May Swami bless all of
and
all
now
of them.
And now people will hear you. I've got the chance to listen to you. Thanks to Bhagwan, and thanks to you for acceding to our request. Thank you so much, sir.
I thank Swami for giving me an opportunity to be here. Sai Ram.
Sir.